In 1810, the settlement at Mobile stood along the lower Alabama River, where fresh and salt waters met, shaping commerce and settlement patterns, and positioning the principal coastal town between interior plantations and the Gulf of Mexico trade routes. Originally established under French control in 1702, Mobile passed through British and Spanish hands before becoming part of the United States, leaving a layered colonial legacy that influenced land claims, architecture, governance, and the cultural composition of its early 19th century residents. Geographically, Mobile's location at the head of Mobile Bay provided a natural harbor sheltered from direct ocean exposure, while navigable rivers connected inland agricultural regions, making it a strategic node linking frontier production zones with Atlantic and Caribbean commercial networks. By the early 19th century, cotton cultivation expanded rapidly across the Alabama hinterland, driven by global demand and technological changes such as the cotton gin, transforming Mobile into a crucial export port that facilitated the movement of raw cotton to international markets. Enslaved labor underpinned this economic expansion, as plantation systems relied on coerced African American workers, whose forced migration into the region increased dramatically, reshaping the demographic structure of Mobile and embedding slavery deeply within its social and economic systems. Merchants in Mobile developed extensive trade connections, exporting cotton and importing manufactured goods, creating a commercial class that accumulated wealth and influence, while also reinforcing dependence on global markets, particularly British textile industries that demanded consistent cotton supplies. Urban development followed economic growth, with wharves, warehouses, and counting houses lining the waterfront, while residential districts expanded inland, reflecting a stratified society where wealthy merchants and planters occupied prominent positions above laborers, artisans, and enslaved populations. Local governance evolved as American institutions replaced colonial frameworks, with municipal authorities addressing infrastructure, public order, and taxation, though political power remained concentrated among property-owning white men, limiting participation and reinforcing existing social hierarchies within the city. The port's activity increased steadily during the 1820s, as steamboat technology improved river navigation, allowing greater volumes of cotton to reach Mobile more efficiently, integrating the city more tightly into regional and national economic systems that prioritized agricultural export production. Cultural life in Mobile reflected its diverse influences, including French, Spanish, African, and Anglo-American traditions, visible in language, religious practices, and social customs, while Catholic and Protestant institutions coexisted, shaping community organization and educational efforts within the growing town. Periodic yellow fever outbreaks posed significant challenges, affecting population stability and economic continuity, as disease spread through port activity, prompting public health responses that were limited by contemporary medical knowledge and often exacerbated by crowded urban conditions. The legal framework of slavery was reinforced through state legislation, regulating the lives of enslaved individuals and restricting free black populations, ensuring labor control while also creating persistent tensions that would later contribute to broader sectional conflicts across the United States. Mobile's role within the expanding American South became increasingly defined by its function as a cotton export hub, linking plantation economies to international markets, and reinforcing a regional identity centered on agricultural production and reliance on enslaved labor systems. Transportation improvements, including road construction and river navigation enhancements, extended Mobile's reach into interior territories, facilitating migration and settlement, while also accelerating environmental changes as forests were cleared and land was converted to intensive cotton cultivation. Economic fluctuations, including shifts in global cotton prices, directly impacted Mobile's prosperity, illustrating the vulnerability of export-dependent economies to external market forces, and influencing local investment patterns, credit systems, and the stability of commercial enterprises within the city. Social stratification became more pronounced as wealth accumulated among elite planters and merchants, while poorer white laborers and enslaved populations experienced limited mobility, creating a rigid social order that defined access to resources, education, and political influence. Religious institutions played a stabilizing role, offering community structure and moral guidance, while also reinforcing social norms, including justifications for slavery, reflecting broader ideological currents that sought to legitimize the economic and social systems prevailing in Mobile. The city's architecture evolved with its growth, incorporating styles influenced by its colonial past and American expansion, while practical considerations such as climate adaptation shaped building designs, including raised structures and shaded galleries suited to the Gulf Coast environment. By the 1830s and 1840s, Mobile ranked among the leading cotton ports in the United States, handling vast quantities of exports, which strengthened its economic significance but also tied its fortunes closely to the continuation of slavery and plantation agriculture. Political alignments within Mobile reflected broader Southern interests, with local leaders advocating for policies that protected slavery and supported agricultural expansion, contributing to increasing sectional tensions between Northern and Southern states over economic and moral issues. As debates over slavery intensified nationally during the 1850s, Mobile's economic dependence on the institution influenced public opinion and political action, aligning the city with pro-slavery positions that prioritized economic stability over emerging abolitionist pressures. The long-term structure of Mobile's economy, built on export agriculture and enslaved labor, created both prosperity and fragility, establishing patterns that would shape its trajectory beyond 1860. As reliance on a single commodity and system limited adaptability in the face of change. During the early 1820s, Mobile's growth accelerated as inland cotton production expanded further into Alabama's fertile Black Belt, increasing the volume of goods moving through the port and reinforcing the city's position as a vital commercial intermediary. Warehouses multiplied along the waterfront, storing compressed cotton bales awaiting shipment, while brokers and factors negotiated prices, coordinated transport, and extended credit, creating a complex financial network that linked planters, merchants, and international buyers. The rise of cotton exports brought increased maritime activity, with ships arriving from Northern American ports, Europe, and the Caribbean, transforming Mobile into a busy harbor where diverse crews, traders, and goods circulated continuously throughout the year. Steamboats became central to this system, navigating the Alabama and Tombigbee rivers, transporting cotton from interior plantations, and reducing travel time, which enhanced the efficiency of trade and allowed Mobile to handle greater volumes than earlier decades. This economic expansion also intensified reliance on enslaved labor, as plantation owners increased production to meet demand, resulting in the forced relocation of thousands of enslaved individuals into Alabama, fundamentally reshaping the region's population and labor systems. Mobile's slave markets became active centers of exchange, where enslaved people were bought and sold, often separated from families, illustrating the human cost embedded within the economic structures that sustained the city's prosperity during this period. Urban infrastructure struggled to keep pace with rapid growth, leading to overcrowding in certain districts, inadequate sanitation, and increased vulnerability to disease, highlighting the uneven distribution of resources between affluent neighborhoods and working-class or enslaved populations. Municipal authorities attempted to address these challenges through ordinances regulating streets, markets, and public behavior, though enforcement varied, and many systemic issues persisted due to limited funding and competing political priorities within the city administration. Education remained limited and unevenly distributed, with private academies serving wealthier families, while broader access to formal schooling was restricted, reflecting the social hierarchy and the prioritization of economic productivity over widespread educational development. Religious institutions expanded alongside population growth, establishing new congregations and charitable activities, which provided some social support, yet often reinforced prevailing norms, including acceptance of slavery as part of the established social order. Mobile's diverse population included immigrants from Europe, particularly Ireland and Germany, who contributed labor and cultural influences, adding complexity to the city's social fabric while also facing economic hardship and discrimination within the existing hierarchy. Trade policies at the national level influenced Mobile's economy, as tariffs and international agreements affected cotton prices and shipping patterns, demonstrating how federal decisions had direct local consequences for merchants, planters, and laborers alike. Banking institutions and credit systems developed to support expanding commerce, enabling planters to finance operations and merchants to manage large transactions, though these systems also introduced financial risk, particularly during periods of market instability. The Panic of 1837 disrupted Mobile's economy, as falling cotton prices and credit shortages led to business failures, reduced trade activity, and financial strain, revealing the vulnerability of an economy heavily dependent on a single export commodity. Recovery from the panic was gradual, with renewed demand for cotton restoring trade flows, yet the experience underscored structural weaknesses, including over-reliance on external markets and limited diversification within Mobile's economic base. Public works projects, including improvements to docks and roads, aimed to enhance efficiency and attract more commerce, reflecting a growing recognition among local leaders that infrastructure investment was essential for maintaining competitive advantage. Legal systems in Mobile enforced property rights and commercial contracts, providing a framework for economic activity, while simultaneously upholding laws that protected slavery, illustrating the dual role of law in facilitating both commerce and social control.